Hello, hello. How's it going, Terryn?
It's going well. How are you doing, Sarah?
We really need to work on the intro
Yeah,
because,
we do.
you know, everyone can just bear with our awkwardness. Like, this is who we are in real life. So just welcome to podcast version of us. I'm doing well, Terryn.
Good, good. I'm glad. It's very, very dreary here in
Oh,
Nebraska today. It has been
really?
icing and snowing and a little bit, and it's cold. So,
Oh, I think that's gonna be us tomorrow
oh, really?
here in Virginia. Yeah, today it's been sunny. Checking the oh, there's still we got some cloud coverage. We are now meteorologists. Winds moving at a speed of four. No, I'm kidding. No, but it was cooler today when I went out for breakfast this morning.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think tomorrow it's supposed to be like a little rainy and snowy-ish.
I still believe spring is on its way.
Me
I
too.
can
I'm really
feel it.
hoping.
It's
Yeah,
coming.
I'm really hoping for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, welcome to the Cozy Conversations podcast, everyone.
Welcome back for those
Yeah.
who decided to stick around. Week 3.
Yes, we've made it. I'm
Oh my
glad we
gosh.
made it past one,
Yes.
Sarah.
Yeah.
Uh, um, well, we thought we'd start off today's podcast by just kind of jumping in and sharing something that the Lord has taught us this week.
Yeah.
So Sarah, do you want to go ahead and jump in and do that first?
Yeah, sounds good. So my Bible study through my church, we have been going through the book of Luke. I really like the way we do our Bible studies. We just pick a book of the Bible and then we read through it. And then we don't have any like Bible study book that we follow. We just literally like talk about what is sticking out to us and what we feel God's teaching to us. So we've been going through Luke chapter 6, and we started verse 12, and usually at the beginning we're like, okay, we're going to read 12 through, this time was 26. And so someone read 12 through 26, and then we started the conversation, but I'm not even kidding. Our conversation surrounded only verse 12 of that chapter, which says, in these days he went out to the mountain to pray, and all night he continued in prayer to God. And verse 13 says, and when day came, he called his disciples and chose them from 12, whom he named apostles. So we're really centered around like our prayer life, talking about what prayer is, how to pray, based on the example that Jesus has given us in the book of Luke, and as well as like I think later on we're going to be reaching like the Lord's Prayer too. So so we were just really talking about that, and that just kind of reminded me of like what my prayer life is like and like things that I could be doing different. And also just making sure that I'm continuing to like the Lord, like in this verse, he literally went all night, he continued in prayer to God. So like what would that look like? And having that kind of, one of the guys in my group was talking about like he said this, I thought this was funny because I could relate to it with you, Terryn. He goes, there's always that one friend that we text throughout the day, like no matter what's going on, like we're texting them. And that's what Terryn and I do, is like
Mhm.
anytime something happens, like we text each other. And she
Yes.
might not see it right away, but or I might not see it right away. Or we'll send like audios to like our little mini
Yes.
podcasts to listen to.
Yes.
But like that's how it should be with like our prayer life and like talking to God. Like it should be a constant communication throughout the day. So that was really encouraging. And it just reminded me of like how I can be in prayer to God and have that conversation with him.
I love that so much, Sarah. I hadn't like read or heard that verse for a while, so that's such a good point. And I feel like we just as Christians, especially here in America, I just feel like our prayer is often the thing that suffers,
Right.
the
Mm-hmm.
most. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, so I love that. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. What about you? What do you got?
I have been reading through the Psalms. I think I mentioned that
Mhm.
um last week, but
Yeah.
so one just concept in verse, I was reading Psalm 107, which is a little longer psalm, and it just talks about all these different things that the Lord does, and
Mm-hmm.
just how he works, and how he, blesses, those who serve him, and
Mm-hmm.
saves them, and all these different things. And then at the very last verse of the Psalm, verse 43 says, "Who is wise? Let him give heed to these things and consider the loving kindness of the Lord."
Yeah, that's awesome.
And yeah, I love that verse. And it was just a reminder to me, I think a lot of times when I'm thinking about the Lord, I'm thinking about what I should be doing to serve him and
Mm-hmm.
like where I need to change to be more like him, and like, thinking about him in my present circumstances, how he can help me. But this verse was just a huge reminder to me of like how much, I don't always know if I take time to simply just think about the Lord's loving kindness and how much
Yeah.
he loves me and how much he's done for me and just who he is. And so that was just, and just to like sit with that for a little bit of like just how precious he is and
Yeah.
how his loving kindness and how that for us especially was shown through the sacrifice Jesus made on the cross so that we can have eternal life through him. And
Mm-hmm.
so that was just a great reminder to
Yeah.
me this week, was just sit for a little while and just consider the loving kindness of the Lord.
I love that. Yeah, I was flipping back in my Bible to that psalm. And when I read through the Psalms a couple years ago, anytime, because I felt like during that season of my life, the phrase steadfast love was like what the Lord was bringing up to me over and over again, and it mentions it like a few times in here, and I like circled it each time. So I love that, just remembering, sitting back and like remembering the steadfast love of the Lord.
Yeah.
That's awesome. True, Terryn.
Yeah. Yes. Wonderful. So, we hope that that was an encouragement to everyone
Yeah.
listening as well, and an encouragement for you to just seek the Lord through his word this week. And
Mhm.
he wants to speak to you as well. So,
That's the thing too. Like I feel like our generation, this day and age, like read your Bibles, people. That's
mhm.
the word of the Lord. That's where you're gonna get that, communication with God, obviously through prayer as well, but like you can speak through the Bible and like that's read your Bibles.
Yeah, he tells us it's living and active and
Hmm.
sharper than a double-edged sword. And it truly is, his word is very, very powerful.
Yes, for sure.
Yes. So hopefully that was an encouragement to you today. So Sarah and I wanted to talk a little bit about where we're headed next with the Cozy Conversations podcast.
Woo woo. We're
So,
just really like the first few episodes were like, okay, let's just make it fun and chill and cozy. But we're gonna get into like our the first thing we want to talk about, because Taryn and I met in college, and I feel like that's a time of life, like college, young adults life, that we want to share about, and we want to talk about our experience with that. So the next like couple episodes, we're gonna be doing like talking about our college experience, giving out like college advice for those who
mhm.
might be about to go into college or are right in the midst of it now. Um, so, and I work with college students, so I see them on the daily, even just walking down the hallway. So I know that it's a time of life where it's like, okay, the Lord can really use it for some good. So we just want, to be able to encourage others through our experience as well.
Yes,
But
absolutely.
I think today we just kind of want to share some fun stories from
Yes.
when we were roommates.
Yes. So, Sarah, one of the ones that is probably one of my favorites
I
is
know it's your favorite. Every year at Christmas time,
I know.
you send me the text. Okay, I'm gonna share it now.
I know. It's Christmas in room 205.
Mm.
I don't know what exactly. So I very much enjoy decorating for different seasons. I
Mm-hmm.
love the changing seasons. I live
Mm-hmm.
somewhere where we have all four seasons.
Yeah,
I
sorry, this
live
Californian doesn't understand that concept.
yes. And so I have always loved just like welcoming in the new season,
Yeah.
spring, summer, fall, winter. So
Mm-hmm.
I get sometimes a little too excited, and then about the season changes, but you know
It's
what?
good.
It's
It's good.
fun. It's fun. We might
It
as well
brought
celebrate
joy to
those.
my life when we were living
I'm
together.
glad to hear that. So this particular one was Christmas, and it had to been like our second Christmas together.
Yes.
Yeah, season
Well, I think it
in
was
college.
technically our first season living together during
Yeah.
Christmas time because we weren't roommates yet.
Right. You're right.
first Christmas. Mm-hmm.
And I was so excited to like,
You
be
were
rooming with
pumped. Yeah.
Sarah. And I was like, the Christmas is going to puke in this room. We're
Yeah. For our listeners, I'm very much Black Friday is when you decorate for Christmas. You don't listen to Christmas music until Black Friday. Like, I'm sorry. No. Terryn,
Yes.
on the other hand.
On the other hand, I like the November 1st, especially in college because,
Okay.
yeah, college is a
You
little
converted
different.
me a little bit more in college just because, you know, you once you leave for Christmas vacation, you don't really get that much time to like enjoy having a decorated dorm. So I definitely
Yeah.
understand that.
And you come back from Thanksgiving break and you're like, it's like, hello, finals. So
Yeah.
it doesn't really like work that well to like decorate after Thanksgiving. Right. So in college, I was like, November 1st, like it's gonna be the day. So I just remember finding I had all sorts of we had just, I think we went to like Dollar Tree and Walmart.
We went to Big Lots too, and you were ready to like split a tree, like pay half of it, and I pay the other half. And I'm standing there like, I'm not paying for half a tree. I can't keep the tree.
Well, I figured we just split it at the end, like pay each other for the other half or whatever. But anyway, we didn't go quite that big that year.
Yeah.
We didn't get a tree.
We did get a tree. You bought one, a small one.
Oh, did we have it that year?
We did have a tree.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
we had like 8 trees.
Yes, we had a bunch of little trees, and we each had some decorations, and then we bought some cheap ones.
I think we each bought our own little tree because that's when I bought that tiny little scraggly tree from Target.
You're right.
Little ornaments that is sitting in the bottom of my work desk right now.
Yeah. So, anyway, so we decorated it all up and we decided we'd make it this big deal on our hall of our dorm. So we put like a little notice out because we had some fall decorations out. I made the notice and I was like, y'all, on November 1st, it is turning to Christmas in here. So just prepare yourselves. And then
it was cute.
Yes. And then we decided to make, I don't know, I'm sure this was probably your idea.
I mean, I had the camera. I filmed it. I felt like I was the director of sorts on this endeavor.
You were. I don't know why we came up with the idea.
I don't either. I mean, I have a history of like making music videos.
Yes.
So I wonder if that was part of it. Like
that probably was.
But I don't remember what actually prompted us to. So I also have a reindeer Rudolph
costume. Yes, she does.
So I wore that. Did you wear anything?
I wore a green sweater. I was disappointed I didn't have anything more festive. I put lights on in a Santa hat though.
Yes, yeah. That was pretty festive.
It was.
So we did that and we just like we did like a light show reveal of our dorm room to the All I Want for Christmas Is You by Mariah Carey. Obviously, like what other song would we do?
It is our Christmas song.
It ended with us like like the video ended with us like dancing in our dorm room.
Yes.
Yeah, so I don't know, but it was a big hit. Our professor even liked it on Facebook.
Yeah, everybody seemed to like it. Yeah, we will try to link the video below.
We will link the video below, or just friend us on Facebook. And I think, is that video on YouTube or did we just post it to Facebook?
I think we just posted it to Facebook.
It needs to be on YouTube.
We need to put it on YouTube.
We need to put it on YouTube. We could be like making money.
Yeah, we could. Because that's what everyone wants to watch when they open YouTube is the dorm lighting of room 205.
Yeah.
Oh, good times.
I remember we did it the second year, and then our college did something called College for a Weekend. Yes. And we weren't going to have a high schooler stay with us, but our RA was like, hey guys, I'm so sorry, but we have one. She comes in and there's like Christmas all over. It's like November 13th.
We were like moving the trees around to make room for her. Yeah.
All love Faith.
Yes.
Our RA.
Shout out to Faith.
Yeah. She would always be shocked anytime she saw us awake past midnight.
I know. We were pretty early to bed.
We were, yeah. So that's definitely a fun memory that I remember. It kind of comes up each year with Christmas. But the other one I remember is Terryn and I would always watch Hallmark movies, especially Hallmark mystery movies. And so our college also does this event called Scaremare, which is essentially this like elaborate like haunted house thing in October that they do, and then it ends with like, where are you going when you die?
Yeah.
Which that's one way to share the gospel. Like,
yeah,
sure, like I'm sure that I hope and pray that lives are being touched through
yes.
that. But the whole concept of Scaremare is like not really mine and Terryn's like ideal like Friday like afternoon evening endeavor. And we're like chicken, so
yeah. I mean, as much as we love our true crime and our crime fiction books,
when it comes to like being in a haunted house with people dressed up as clowns, like, I'm sorry,
not our vibe.
The only way I would do Scaremare is if I had a boyfriend and he like went with me.
Yeah,
but not happening here. So too bad. I remember when COVID happened and they shut down Scaremare, I was like, oh darn, I was gonna go this year.
Exactly.
So, but there was one year where Terryn and I were like, let's go to Scaremare, but let's not go, but let's just park and stand there. So, because when you in the line for Scaremare, they have people dressed up like Michael Myers and like the big head guy, like all walking around, getting people like pumped up. Yeah, hyped up.
Terrified.
So Terryn and I parked, and you can like see some of the flashing lights and like the building when it ends and everything.
We were like, it's gonna be enough. Like we'll just take a little taste. I think it was plenty.
It was more. So we get, it's like a Sunday evening, I think, or a Saturday evening. Get in my car, we drive there, we park, and I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like, why are we doing this? Like, everyone's here for like the actual event, and we're just here to like stand there and watch. So we stand there like almost like holding on to each other, watching the people like get in line and everything. And then we're like, let's listen to some creepy music on the way back to our dorm before we go back and watch like a Hallmark mystery movie. So I don't know why we just listened to Thriller by Michael Jackson.
Sarah was like, oh, this will work well.
So that was that. And then so of course our mystery movies, but that's like the Hallmark mystery movies and Scaremare, that's like two different levels.
Yeah, definitely.
But those are some memories from college that we absolutely and when we get into like our college advice experience, we'll talk more about like the other thing too was this podcast, Cozy Conversations. This isn't the first time that Terryn and I have done a podcast.
No, it is not.
Do we dare tell them?
Yeah.
If you scroll back far enough on our Facebook pages, you might be able to find the link to our original podcast. It was called College Chronicles with Terryn and Sarah.
It was a great name. I think we mentioned it in our first podcast.
We might have, yeah. Oh yeah. And it was just insane. Like the first like 2 minutes are just, you can't even hear talking because you can just hear us breathing because we're laughing so hard.
Yes.
It's like squawking like a sea lion.
Yeah. I can't disagree with that. That's accurate.
Yeah. The way you said hi, Sarah.
I know.
Killed me.
Anyway. Yeah, so thankfully there's only 1 or 2 episodes of that, and then that was put to rest, thankfully.
Yes. R.I.P. to the original podcast. Yes. I was telling my parents about this podcast. My mom goes, oh, didn't you do something like that? Like you started something already? I was like, yeah, but this is more serious now. Like we got our stuff together this time.
Yeah, exactly. But that's, I think, one of the most fun things about college is just the memories that you make. And it's there's much fun. So many more to unpack too that we'll get into. Yes, especially in our series on college advice, college everything that we're about to start. So let's get into what we're doing with our lives. Books, movies, music, recipes. I just like throwing this segment in because I feel like it encourages me through the week. I'm like, oh my goodness, I need to read so that I have something to talk about.
So Terryn, what are you reading? What are you listening to? What are you watching?
Yeah, so not much has changed since our last podcast, but I did want to mention a book series that I've read recently, and I
Yes.
it's up there with one of my favorite book series ever.
Yeah.
So it's called like the Holly Cross series. It's by C.C. Warren. The first book is called Crisscross. I will put the link below. And then there's a series. This is such a great series. It's a Christian. She's a Christian author, just really great Christian like themes, and just was really encouraging to me reading it.
Yeah.
But it is a pretty intense book, so definitely
Yeah.
read the little
The back
description and just
cover.
see if it's something that you are interested in. But
Definitely like
it's
mystery, suspense.
kind of a thriller a little bit. There was
Yeah.
like, once you get into the book, there's something scary happening. My adrenaline was definitely up the whole time. And so
I remember you read the first book in like a day.
yeah, I did. I like could not put it down. So definitely highly recommend this series if you're into that type of genre. But
Yeah.
yeah, there's that. Oh, I will mention a couple. So I feel like just when spring starts springing, which as you know, it's actually not today, but I'm just feeling the spring vibes. Like they're just, I can feel
It can
them.
be felt. Yeah.
So I had the strong desire this morning to make myself some lemon water.
I love lemon
I
water.
know. So I have been making lemon water, and I've been putting a cinnamon stick in it too.
Oh,
So
that's what's in there.
yes.
She's holding, for our listeners, she's holding this like clear mason jar cup, and I just see this like brown stick
Floating around. Definitely.
Like, talking about lemon water. I'm like, what in the world? Got it. Cinnamon stick. That's a new one.
Yes. So
Very cool.
It just kind of gives a little bit of like sweet, different flavor.
Yeah,
So
I love that.
And they're both really good for you. Cinnamon's like an antibacterial and anti-inflammatory and stuff. So yeah, so that's good. And then something else I've been doing this week, we really like to share, this podcast. We want to just encourage people who are in around the same stage of life as us. And so, I think that easy recipes are very helpful to those in this stage of young adulthood. So something that I found that I've really been enjoying, and it's very, pretty much healthy, pretty much, is for dessert at night. I've been cutting like a half a banana up and then drizzling a little bit of peanut butter on top and then sprinkling a few chocolate chips. And it is a wonderful dessert. Also, pro tip, I learned this from my roommate when I lived in Memphis, and she was from Florida.
Besides me? Okay.
Sarah, I promise it's okay. Deep breaths. But she was from Florida, and you know how sometimes I don't want to eat the whole banana. Like sometimes I'm not hungry enough. Sometimes they're bit like, it can just be a lot. And so, but bananas, they go brown and it's so annoying. Well, she taught me a trick. If you cut the banana right in half and then you cover the end of it, or I'll sometimes just stick it on a paper plate so it's still wrapped, the banana stays good except for the very end. Yeah, keep it in the peel. So just slice it in half with the peel on, and then cover the end of the side that you're not going to eat right away. And it at least will stay for the next day or two.
See, I do something sorry, go ahead.
No, sorry. But the end will get brown, so you'll have to just slice off the very end. But the rest,
see, I do something similar where I'll like half the banana, and then my mom just says throw the other half in the freezer. But then I have like a half frozen banana, and I'm like, okay, what do I do with this? So I remember I was doing that for a while because I had all these like aspirations to like make smoothie bowls all the time.
Oh yes.
Who actually has the time for that? Let's just go to Millie's Living Cafe here in Lynchburg.
So good.
And so I just had like 25,000 like half bananas and like Ziploc bags in my freezer. So that's a really good idea.
I know. I didn't ever think about it. So yeah, if you want a really fast little snack or dessert, that's a great idea. So
cool.
Yeah. Awesome. What about you, Sarah? What have you been up to in this category?
This like chill, I can't even talk. Chill stuff going on here. So same with me. I haven't had much of a difference with the books I've been reading. I have the book What Happens Next that I talked about last episode. And again, I'm just showing Terryn the cover now because it looks really cool, by Christina Suzanne Nelson. So still going through that. I also have been reading now for like a couple years the Brandon Sanderson Mistborn series. So Brandon Sanderson is a prolific fantasy author, not Christian, just throwing it out there, but really good. So I have the second book that I've been trying to get through, and I've been trying to read it for a while. It's like, how many pages is this? 785, so almost 800 pages. But it's just really interesting. Like I read some this morning, so I got up at 6 and I just could not go back to sleep, so I like read a few pages. So it's like really good. So I've been going through that. Other than that, just thinking of like some other books that I've enjoyed reading. I follow a lot of self-published or independently published authors, Christian authors on Instagram. So a couple that I've read their books, like the first book in the series. First would be Victoria Lynn's Chronicles of Illyria. So she is an awesome Christian self-published author, editor. She's also like the CEO, manager of this company called Glory Writers, which we'll get into more later. And she wrote like a non-magical fantasy series with like really strong Christian themes, and it's called The Chronicles of Illyria. The first book is called Once I Knew. Really good. I read it last year. The second one is called This Life of Mine, and it comes out like in a couple weeks.
Ooh.
And I did her little pre-order book box goodies thing, so I'm gonna get like the book and like character pictures and like a candle that's like inspired by the book series, and like tea that's inspired by the series. So I'm stoked for that. I also just love that she stands up for like biblical womanhood and like very pro-life.
Amazing.
So that's really cool. And then another book series that I have read, I haven't read the second one yet because I am currently in the midst of a self-imposed book buying ban, which is what there's like anybody who loves to read and likes books puts themselves through this, where they're like, okay, I'm not buying any books until such and such date. But
How's that book buying ban going for you, Sarah?
Okay, Terryn, calling me out on the podcast. So I did buy like that What Happens Next book I was just talking about. I did buy that like a few weeks ago, but it's actually gone well. I've started a list of a few books that I want to buy
that you're putting off
that I haven't purchased yet. So
I'm so proud of you. So
many applause for Sarah.
Also, I am just teasing because every time she told me she was thinking about breaking her book buying ban for a new book, I fully supported her and encouraged her to break it.
Yeah, she's always like,
I
do it,
I'm
Sarah.
guilty.
The book looks so good. And then she's like, I mean, don't buy it, but do it.
Yeah.
So it's just funny. So Brian McBride is another self-published, indie-published author, Christian author, and he wrote a book series. And the first book is called Mammoth, and it was fantastic. And for those of you who have watched Outer Banks, very much Outer Banks vibe, like Indiana Jones, like hunting for the treasure, strong Christian themes. And I really want to read the second book, which is called Titan. I'll be purchasing that here soon. But yeah, that's what I've been like reading or wanting to read lately, and just kind of like trying to do a little promo for those authors. Not like they need it because they can promote their books, but I'm just saying that I really like them.
Yes,
I like these authors. So
yes.
But yeah, and then other than that, shows I've been watching, I haven't been watching too much lately. I feel like this has been a busy writing week for me. But
yes.
Yeah.
Writing. Tell us how your writing has been going, Sarah.
Yeah, so I have a few books in the works, and I've had one that's been on my mind and on my heart for like almost 4 years now. It's a crime fiction novel, and I wrote the first draft a couple years ago, but then I reworked the plot. And so now I'm in the middle of the second draft, but in order to get myself to the next level, I actually hired, backtracking to Victoria Lynn, who I talked about earlier. Like I said, she's the CEO of Glory Writers, which is a Christian editing publishing services company. I actually hired her to be my editor for this book later in September this year. So she's basically, I'm going to finish the manuscript, I'm going to send it to her, she's going to read it and help me with overall theme, story, character arcs, plot line, stuff like that. So I feel like that's the little push that I need in order to get this book published. So we'll see.
Oh my goodness. Insert music. Da, 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 da.
We'll see. We're gonna see what happens. At the time of this recording, it's March 11th. Oh, speaking of March 11th, 3 years ago, happy birthday, COVID.
Oh, did you had to bring that up? Too soon, Sarah. Too soon, Sarah.
3 years. Kidding. No, but every year on March 11th, I'm like, happy birthday, COVID.
Yeah. Oh.
Anyways, yeah, so today's March 11th. By the time this will be released in late April, maybe early May. So September, we're gonna see what happens. Just writing, praying that the Lord would just, help me share the story that he wants me to share, and that if it's his will that this book gets published, then I just want to follow along that ride, and just, yeah, I'm excited. Thanks, Terryn, for being my number one fan, I think.
Always. I'm so proud of you. And also, spoiler alert to everyone, the stuff she writes is amazing. She gives me little snippets every once in a while, and I'm always like, oh, send me more, send me the whole book. She's like, Terryn, the whole book doesn't exist yet. I haven't finished it. I'm like,
it exists.
Well, hurry up.
All in my head right now.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Terryn. I appreciate it.
We can't wait to keep hearing about your writing on the podcast. You'll have this little kind of timeline where you've talked about it.
Yeah, I'm excited about that too. I'm very much the type of person who loves to see how things progress.
Yeah.
So it'll be fun to be able to look back and see how the Lord's moved it through all of it. So
yes. Amazing. Well, I think we're winding down for this podcast. So we are. Yeah. At the end of every podcast, we like to ask each other a question. Just a fun little question to get the wheels turning in our brain. And
to ask you the question as well, our lovely listeners.
Yes, exactly.
So comment on our Instagram, share, slide into those DMs.
Yeah.
Not like that.
Oh my gosh.
Feel free to message us with your answer.
Yeah,
if you want.
Also,
if you know this in real life, just come up to us and be like,
yes,
this is my answer.
So our question today is, what is something new that you want to try? Can be anything.
I think, going back to my whole writing thing, I want to try to have someone else read this book and see if they like it. I think that's the biggest one for me right now. I just want to try actually write, finishing it and trying the publishing process and everything, and just seeing what the Lord has for that. But yeah, that's the biggest one I can think of right now. What about you, Terryn?
Amazing. Okay, well, mine is not near as important and exciting as that. But I saw this recipe so we've been buying bananas, if you can't tell, as much as I've talked about bananas on this podcast. But
Terryn's actually a monkey.
Yeah, but we've been buying a lot of bananas, and I've been looking for recipes of how to use them as they go bad. So I mentioned the banana bread recipe I did a few weeks ago. So I've been seeing some banana brownie recipes that are just have really good ingredients, and they're healthy. And so I want to try one of those recipes in the next couple weeks. So I will keep you posted on that.
That sounds really good.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Well,
very cool. This was fun.
I think that wraps it up for today.
Cozy Conversations podcast, episode number 3.
In the books.
In the books.
All right. Well, we will talk to you next time, everybody.
Stay cozy.
Stay cozy.
Or at least try.